going to go into what's an accomplice of a sinner. And the title is Accomplices, Idols in Our Tents. Accomplices, idols in our tent. So, anybody know right off top what the definition of an accomplice is? Anybody just so happen to know, want to take a stab at it?
Someone who takes part.
Someone who takes part, yep. Pretty much it. Anybody else?
Pain and crime.
Go ahead, sister.
Somebody that assists in what they're doing.
Correct, yeah, okay, same thing, okay. So, yeah, those are both basically the answer. The definition the dictionary gives is a person who helps another commit a crime. So that's what an accomplice is. A person who assists someone else commit a crime. You know, and our people get taken down by that very much. We see that in society, you know. So sin is actually a crime against what? Your spirit, right? So just like in the world, in the world itself, someone commits a crime and they have a partner in crime with them, they're an accomplice. So same thing in this walk. If someone is sinning and you're an accomplice, or you assist them, you're an accomplice, because that sin is a crime to their spirit. That sin is a crime to their walk. So, like I said, the title is Accomplices, Idols in Our Tents. So we always hear the word idol. In a nutshell, what is an idol? Go ahead, sister.
Something you worship to.
Exactly, that's what it is, an image or an object of what you worship. So you can make any inanimate thing an idol. You know, it'll be a dumb idol nonetheless, but an idol is anything that you worship, or anything that you covet, or anything that you put stock in as far as spirituality or faith or anything like that, if it's not of the Most High. You know, an image isn't always because you're wearing something or whatever. You can wear something. I'm wearing a watch, but that doesn't mean it's an idol. It's just an object. I'm not worshiping, I'm not praying to it. It's anything that you put spiritual stock in. So yeah, the image is, idol is an image of what you worship. So with that being said, we'll start going right into the commentary.
Okay, the commentary reads, many times it is emphasized that we, as those fear the Most High, must turn away from sin to serve Him. There are many sins to choose from, but many overlook a sin which is just as condemning as others. The sin of being a witness to evil, yet never speaking up. This sin is actually a huge sin which has destroyed our neighborhoods from generations. For example, we like to talk about the drug dealers and murderers, but what about the families who knew exactly who they are and look to benefit from their evil? Or how about those who witness evil and instead of correcting a friend or reporting the evil, they simply keep quiet and allow that person to grow more and more rebellious? Lack of action is like a person who has a disease but never decides to do anything about it. Eventually, death is immediate. Let's address this evil and learn of what we must do if we look to make it into the kingdom.
So we all looking to make it into the kingdom, Khan. So we don't never want to be an accomplice to sin, and it can be a byproduct in the walk, in the sense of you're going to have people that are sinning at some point, you know, or carnal minded. or you might, you know, come in contact with somebody or have a relationship with someone who's committing this act. So this is stating, and we know that committing a sin equals death. So we got to learn how to reel this in, because like I said up in here, this is something that's, where was it at? Something that's very, like, you know, prominent in our society, in our neighborhoods. We'll turn a blind eye to it. We'll turn a blind eye based off of the relationship we have with a person, just off of maybe fear, you know, just based off of anything that's, you know, keeping us from straightening that person out. So, but now if we see or witness someone's sin, reproving them, but without reproving them, that's death for us as well. So that's a lot to take into consideration. If you see your brother or your sister commit the act of sin, and you don't reprove them or act on it, you're just as guilty of the sin yourself. Like that's heavy. That shows us how much the Most High is holding us accountable. You know, we gotta have a pure heart. You know, we gotta and sometimes witnessing something else and not reproving that or acting on it. That's beholding us to that same sin, and that's destroying us, and that's sending us to death. You understand? So, you know, where's the line where it was saying, this sin is actually a huge sin which has destroyed our neighborhoods for generations. Like, you know, just off of the subject, idols in our tents. Like when I came up, I couldn't have certain things in my home. My parents, you know, I remember they just knew everything I had, everything that I possessed. If I got a toy out of a cereal box, they knew it. I couldn't say I got it from the store. I couldn't get a toy from the store and say I got it out the cereal box. They knew everything that I had, and they didn't tolerate me saying, oh, my friend gave me this, or, you know, because they implemented in me, you don't know where that person got it from. And as I got older, I see how that molded me into the thinking of, you just don't take possessions from anybody. You know, I remember having a toy I got from a friend that I was in elementary, like 4th grade, and I got a toy from a friend, and I took it home immediately. My parents knew that this wasn't something we got you. Like, where did you get this from? So, you know, I'm a kid. I'm like, my friend at school gave it to me. My dad was like, take it back and give it back to him. So I was like, man, like, you know, and I don't know what was in me where I didn't even want to give it back. I was like too embarrassed to give it back to my friend. But I went back to school the next day and gave it back to him. But, you know, it wasn't even a thought for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna just get rid of it and I'll just tell him that I gave it back to him. He would never know. That didn't even cross my mind because my parents knew. They knew me. They knew, you know, they would have known I was lying. They would have known if I didn't give it back. And I just remember that when it's saying right here that this is actually a huge sin that has destroyed our neighborhoods for generations. Because we allow, as it gave in the commentary, drug dealers and people would turn a blind eye. We would allow people to bring certain things into our neighborhoods and just turn a blind eye. No one will reprove them or correct it. So, you know, that's very strong in our communities, and it destroys us from the inside out. We go to the first set of scriptures, Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Okay, we're going to Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Were you there, Achan? Right. Okay, Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Most High thy power. The Most High thy power has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all the people that are upon the face of the earth.
So we hear this scripture all the time. You know, we hear this all the time. You know, this is like This is nothing new to us. So this shows us that the Most High has us in a position where in order for us to show we're his people and his portion, we're to be blameless. You know, just like the brother just sung, you know, we're to have a clean heart. The Most High deals with righteousness. So he sets us up. He has us in a position for us to set ourselves up to make it to his kingdom. We have to be blameless. We have to have a pure heart. We have to be unlike the world. And that's very hard to do when you're influenced by society. That's very hard to do when you're a product of Babylon. That's very hard to do when you've had more years of carnality than a pure walk. So that's something that I'm sure we all struggle with. But this scripture is something that we hear ever so often, but it's like a very good tagline for us to show who we are. Like if anyone else was in this position, we would esteem them and look up to them and feel we would feel like they're living up to that quality. But the onus is on us to show that we're the most high holy people, above everybody, and we're special people. And now with that responsibility being on us, that's a lot to take in. That's a lot to take in when you're dealing with struggles. That's a lot to take in when you're trying to kill your flesh on a daily basis. It's like, wow, we really have to be perfect and pure. That's a very high bar that the Most High has set. But what else can you expect when you're dealing with the one and only God, and you're supposed to be his people, you're supposed to be his portion. You know, he's going to expect greatness out of you. We'll go with the next commentary.
Okay, the commentary reads, we were not supposed to fit the stereotypical life of sinners. We were called for a higher purpose, the purpose of being guardians to this earth, rulers who were to project the appearance of the righteous kingdom of heaven above.
So it says, we were not supposed to fit the stereotypical life of sinners. That's very true. We actually were supposed to be the light of the way on this earth. So even though the fallen angels, you know, they were bound here, we're supposed to be a stronger force than them. You know, and that's something for the heathens and the other nations and the Gentile nations to look up to us. So with the fallen angels being bound in earth, we're supposed to be a stronger force than them. So when you look at things, though, people are more fearful of the evil spiritual realm than they are of the saints. And we're supposed to be a stronger force than them. You know, we even may have that mindset sometimes, like we may fear the invisible where we can't see Satan and his minions, but we're supposed to walk with confidence in the spirit and be a stronger force than those demons and those entities. But people respect the spirit realm more than they respect the saints. Think about that. People respect what they can't see more than your walk and your light, you being a light. People are more afraid of Satan than they are of let me not do this in front of a saint. Let me not do this in front of somebody who's walking in the truth. So, you know, Babylon is backwards. True. We go to the next set of scriptures in 1 Peter 2 and 5.
Okay, we're going to 1 Peter 2 and 5 through 11.
So people are always supposed to look at us from for that righteous perspective. Okay, they know they gotta avoid sinning. They know they gotta avoid, Satan and his minions. So who do they look to? What righteous people do they look to?
Okay, this is 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5. Ye also as a lively stone are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices
Spiritual sacrifices. Go ahead.
acceptable to God by YASHIYA the Mashiach.
Continue.
Wherefore, also, it is contained in the scriptures, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
Shall not be confounded. So he that believeth in the Most High shall be an unstoppable, righteous force. You can't be stopped. You cannot be confounded. Continue.
Verse 7, unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient,
Those are the heathens. Go ahead.
the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner.
That's the cornerstone. Go ahead.
Verse 8, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they are appointed. This is verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation,
Chosen generation. Go
a
ahead.
royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
That precepts Deuteronomy 7:6 right there. We just read that above. Chosen generation, a royal priesthood. You can't be a royal priesthood coveting idols. Go ahead.
Verse 10, which in time past were not a people, but are now a people of the Most High,
So out of all the people, he chose us. Go ahead.
which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. This is verse 11. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul.
Which war against the soul. So what that sound like right there? That precepts Romans 7:23, I believe. Let's get that right quick. Let's go to Romans 7:23. Which war against the soul. Go ahead with that.
Okay, this is Romans 7:23.
1 second. Start at 21.
Start at 21, Romans 7:21. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me.
This is Paul speaking. Go ahead.
For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. Verse 23, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind.
So the law in Paul's members is the flesh. Go ahead. Warring against the law
Of my
what?
mind.
My mind, that's the spirit. So the previous scripture in, what's that?
Peter.
That was 1 Peter 2:11.
Yes, sir.
Which war against the soul. Go ahead.
Warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my
Which is
members.
in his flesh. Go ahead.
Keep reading.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 24, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death?
So the body of this death, that's the flesh. So what Paul is saying is that, you know, these things are contrary to one another, the spirit versus the flesh. So that's what the scripture, the last scripture, which war against the soul, that's what it precepts to and speaking of. Like it's a constant war. It's a constant, you know, they're contrary one to another. Like I always say, these two things don't touch and agree. So we always gotta bind our flesh spiritually as best we can on a day-to-day basis. Go ahead to the next commentary.
Well, let me finish this out.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I thank God through YASHIYA the Mashiach, our Savior. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of the Most High, but with the flesh, the law of sin.
Yeah, we go to the next commentary.
The next commentary reads, the Father called us out of darkness into light so that we could defeat darkness in the very end. That battle starts inwardly. The darkness must go. Hiding it does not change your judgment.
Hiding it does not change your judgment. So the Most High sees all. We know this. So when he looks at you, he want to see pureness, light in the Holy Spirit. Be a humble and perfect servant. That's what he want to see. So because it's nothing you can hide. He sees all. And just because it's no instant judgment for it doesn't mean that you won't be held accountable for it. So we know nothing is hid from the Most High. Let's go to Joshua 7 and 10. Get some understanding on this.
Okay, we're going to Joshua verse 7, chapter 7, verse 10, and we're going to read through 26. When you're there, say, Achan.
So the backstory to this is, Joshua, and his soldiers are fighting, and they don't really know what taking a loss is. When the Most High is on your side and you're righteously battling, you're not going to take a loss unless what? Sin is in the camp.
That's right.
The way to get us to fall, the way to get us to not be the Most High's portion in a sense, is to get us to sin. All the other nations understand, if you get them to go off, if you get them to sin, if you get them to forsake the Sabbath, and be involved in the pagan holidays, if you get them to have strife in their home, husband against wife, we got them. You always they got to get Israel to go off. If we can get them to go off, we got them. But if they honoring and worshiping that God of theirs, we'll be fools to try to go up against them. You see it timeless times in the scriptures. You see it time after time. So Joshua, they don't know what it's like to take a loss. They don't know what it's like to take an L. They slaughtering thousands and hundreds of thousands without, that's a battle. That's the side I want to be on. But out of thousands of your soldiers, if you got sin in the camp, it's gonna cost you. And we finna get a little bit of insight on that. Right. Go ahead.
This is Joshua 7 to 10. And the Most High said unto Joshua, get thee up, wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face?
So you like, man, get up. Why you laying on your face? Wondering how did we get to this? It's like, man, like you trying to figure this out. It's plain and simple what's going on. So the Most High is telling Joshua to get up and find the evil. People are dying because of sin. So he want them to go root it out instead of sitting around contemplating. You're like, hey, get up, take care of business. You're the general in this.
Right.
Don't be sitting around contemplating, wondering what's going on. Get to the bottom of this, and we can get back to business. Because, like I said, they didn't know what taking a loss was. So now it's like just like we see in sports. Teams are undefeated. It seems like it's so easy. Like, well, you already know they're gonna be at the top at the end. But then something happened, and it's like, hey, what's going on? This team on a losing streak. And then you come to find out, it's infighting inside the. And I'm just using sports as an analogy because that's something a lot of us can attest to. And then you come to find out it's infighting. The coach not getting along with the main player. The player's not getting along, and then he's like, okay, we got some disruption in the camp. So now we taking a loss, and on paper we're supposed to be the best team. So keep continuing.
Verse 11. Israel have sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them.
So the Most High telling Joshua what's going on. Go ahead.
For they have even taken the accused thing and have also stolen and disassembled also.
So he's breaking it down to Joshua what's going on. He like, hey, they've taken idols, they done stole possession, dissembled. Well, was dissembled. The definition of that is to conceal one's true motives, feelings, or beliefs. So when he's saying that they dissembled, read that line right there.
Also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff.
So when they dissembled things, that's like, they're taking down. So previously they were taking down soldiers, and then you take the spoils, and the spoils go to the treasury, or the spoils go to the king, or go to the ruler, or whomever. But dissembled mean that they, what's the definition again? Let me get it. To conceal one's true motives, feelings, or beliefs. So what they did was say, yeah, we just took down this camp over here. It's a lot of gold in here. We'll take it to the treasury. And on the way to the treasury, they, go this way, and I'm putting this over here, stashing it for myself. So that's what dissembled mean. So the intentions were, they made it seem like their intentions were, I'm gonna go add this to the treasury, because that's what soldiers do nowadays. When they took over, who was that, Saddam Hussein and all of that? Right. The soldiers that our people that go off and fight, they don't get over there and say, okay, we took over Saddam's mansion and estate and it's all this gold, and they don't get to pocket it. Guess where it goes? To the U.S. Treasury. Right. It goes to Washington, D.C., wherever. But you don't see soldiers coming back like, look at this gold chain I got from Saddam's crib. Right. You don't see that. You understand? 1 second, sis. So you don't see that. So, but that's what these soldiers were doing. That's what these people in Joshua's camp was doing. They were dissembling. They were saying, okay, yeah, we got some riches right here. We're going to take this and put it as part of the treasury. It's part of the spoils to further our empire or nation. And at times, that's allowed because, you take the spoils of whether it be the land, whether it be the animals, whether it be all the things. Go ahead, sister, you got a question?
Just comment. That's like with our jobs. They take a lot of our gross income. They say like, oh, when we get our tax return, like a lot of it is taken out, especially like for the holidays.
Yeah, that's true. But even in that sense, with the definition of what dissembled mean, let's take Social Security for example. They'll say, hey, we taking out this for your Social Security, and then the whole time they got a whole nother plan for that. Mm-hmm. But so I get what you're saying. So in that situation, that would be dissembling, where your job taking away Social Security, saying, oh, you're going to get this when you're whatever age, but yet and still that pot is not there. They're saying they're taking it out, and you're trusting and believing it's there. So, and that just shows you how much we're still in captivity in America, is that we're totally fine with our wages being taken out before we even, that's crazy. That's like it's not a big deal. I remember one of my buddies, when we started working, he was from another country, and every time we would get our paycheck, he would be like, man, Uncle Sam is ripping us off. And I'm like, what's the big deal? You know that. We okay, they took out X amount of hundreds for taxes and so on and so forth, but then it took a while for me to realize where he's from. I'm sure it was going on, but it wasn't to the capacity, and he was just getting that culture shock of being in America. Like, this is ridiculous, But to me, I was like, hey, so that just shows you, how we still have a kind of a slave mentality here. Right. So, but yeah, that could be true. That's definitely a thorn. Let's continue.
Okay, this is Joshua chapter 7, verse 12. Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore, except you destroy their curse from among you.
So this is the Most High telling Joshua, you can't stand up to your enemies because you got sin in your camp. They, but turned their backs before their enemies because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore. So that speaks to, Deuteronomy 28 and 32. There's no might in our hands. That's why Joshua was on his face, because he's like, what is going on? So when the Most High say he turned his back from you, there's no might in your hands. That's why you can have thousands, hundreds of slaves and only a handful of soldiers, and they can will us into captivity to our death, because we have no might in our hands. And we'll watch these movies and we'll watch these documentaries and be like, oh, if I was there, I would have just did this. Or we would have did. No, you wouldn't, because there's no might in your hands. It's the same thing now in modern day society with police brutality. It's not that the police are bigger and better and mightier than us. There's no might in our hands. That's why 12 police have to show up for one person, because they remember the Judah boys. They know about that. You might be that one to take them down and change the ways of your people. So, but there's no might in our hands. So we'll see things and be like, man, that cop did that to this person and did that to this crowd of people, and it was just two of them, because there's no might in our hands. In your mind, you can say, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that, and that, but it's no might in your hands. Continue.
This is verse 13. Up, sanctify the people, and say, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus said Ahijah, the power of Israel.
So the Most High is telling them, get these people together and sanctify them. So this actually shows the significance of communion. Right. This right here shows the significance of communion. We got to be purified again. We got to sanctify. We got to get some cleansing going on. We got to do some purging. Go ahead.
There is an accursed thing in the midst of thee, O Israel. Thou canst not stand before thy enemies until ye take away the accursed thing from among you.
So the Most High is telling Joshua, you don't stand a chance against your enemies until you purge out the sin, until you purge out what's going on. As the previous scripture said, Joshua didn't know, but as the previous scripture said, you can't hide anything. Nothing is in the darkness to the Most High. So Joshua, falling on his face, hands in his face, face in his hands, trying to figure out what's going on, the Most High seen it. Mm-hmm. He's seen it. He's seen the accursed things taken. He's seen the idolatry. He's seen that people were doing something, were sinning, and it cost them. Continue.
Verse 14. In the morning, therefore, ye shall be brought according to your tribes.
So in the morning, the Most High is telling Joshua, get the people together. He finna break this down. Go ahead.
In the morning, therefore, ye shall be brought according to your tribes. And it shall be that the tribe which the Most High taketh shall come according to the families thereof. And the family which the Most High shall take shall come by households. And the household which the Most High shall take shall come man by man.
So the Most High about to break this down. Like, okay. Joshua, this is what you're going to do. We're going to get this straight. Get everybody together by tribes. You get everybody together by tribes, get everybody together by households. Get everybody by households in the house. Okay, now we're going to go man by man. We're going to break this down. We're going to root out who this person is that brings sin into the camp.
Right.
That's causing other innocent people to lose their lives, because we're all responsible for one another in a sense. So the Most High is breaking this down like, this is what you're going to do. Get the tribes together, get the families together, get the households together, then we're going to go man by man. Go ahead.
Right. Verse 15, and it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire.
That's going to be the judgment. Go ahead.
He and all that he hath, because he hath transgressed the covenant of the Most High, and because he has wrought folly in Israel.
Because they have brought folly, which is foolishness, into Israel. Now here we out here undefeated, and now we taking losses because of somebody's foolishness, because of somebody's covetousness. We out here undefeated. You know, we can't be taken down. But now because somebody has brought an accursed thing amongst us, it's gonna cost us. But we're gonna root this out. Go ahead.
This is verse 16. So Joshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken.
Tribe of Judah was brought forth. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zerites, and he brought the family of the Zerites man by man, and Zabdi was taken.
Okay, so now they taking individuals, and as I was reading this, you know, I'm like, okay, he's gonna get them together by tribes, you know, and I'm up there like, okay, don't let it be Judah, don't let it be, oh man, it's Judah. You know what I'm saying? Like out of all 12, it's Judah. Like, wow. Continue.
Verse 18. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah was taken.
Of the tribe of Judah, the kingship. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And Joshua said to Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, the glory to the Most High of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me.
So he telling them to confess. You know, be on the up and up. You know, so that's basically the story that what's going on in the storyline here. Continue.
And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Most High, God of Israel, and thus have I done.
And thus have I done. So his darkness is being exposed. You know, he probably could have lied about it, but it was gonna get exposed. It was just like I said, like me accepting a toy from my friend when I was in elementary. I could have lied about it, but it would have got exposed because my parents knew me. My father knew me, and the Father of the Most High in this situation, he knew. So it was gonna get exposed. So, you know, continue.
Verse 21, when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them. So this is what Achan is saying, like, you know, hey, I saw a nice garment, I saw some money, I saw some gold, and I took it, you know, and I was looking and it was saying, like what did it say, 200 shekels of, that's like $64,000 when I Googled it or whatever. It came up to like $64,000 in like a couple of years ago. That's the comparison. Then I did see a different amount, but that's what it said. So it's basically like he went and took over somebody in the other military or whatever and seen some money and said, okay, instead of this going to the treasury, I'm gonna keep it for myself. Oh, that's a nice garment. I'm gonna take that also. So that's what he did. So think about that, $64,000. That's a lot. That's not nothing to sneeze at. So, you know, do you have enough spiritual and righteous fortitude to see something like that and not let your carnality take over? That's not like it's $6.40. That's $64,000. That you know, that flesh, the wheels might get to turning, you know, but the Most High sees all. You're gonna have to answer for that. You're gonna have to answer for that on the day of judgment, and it won't be worth your soul burning in eternity. Right. Let's continue. Then I coveted them and took them, and behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it.
So he's saying, yeah, I took it and I hid it in the midst of my tent under the earth. Just like now, we hide stuff in the basement. That's what we do. That's what people do. For some reason, psychologically, we figure I'm gonna go to the lowest part of my house and hide something, because you know it's like being at the swimming pool in the summer. Everybody had their money in the toe of their shoe. Like, this is the best hiding spot. in the world. Nobody gonna know what's in here.
What's in this shit?
It's the furthest thing from that somebody gonna think. So this is what we do. We have things in the basement, and that's what Achan did. He didn't have a basement, but the basement in his tent is under the earth, under the soil. Continue.
This is verse 22. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent,
So it was there just like he said. Go ahead.
and the silver under it. Verse 23. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua, and unto all the children of Israel, and laid them out before the Most High.
So it's just like a courtroom. We laying all the evidence out there. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And Joshua and all of Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters, and his oxen and his asses and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them into the valley of Achan.
So they brought that into the valley. So it says at the beginning of verse 24, and Joshua and all of Israel with him. So this is for everybody to see. So it won't be no he said, she said.
Right.
So it won't be, you know what, I missed what really happened. I got part of the story. We got all the evidence on the table. We got all the, this is for everybody to see. So you'll know that it's a righteous judgment. So they brought forth who? They brought forth his sons. Read that again, starting at took Achan the son.
And they took it, Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold.
So they took all the stuff that he stole. Now
And-
continue.
And his sons and his daughters, and his oxen and his asses and his sheep and his tent.
So in modern day times, they'll be taking your pet, they'll be taking your house, all your possessions, your car, everything you own. You got 4 dogs over there, they rounding the dogs up too. They rounded, if this was modern time, they like take everything that he possessed. The dogs over there like, all right, what we doing? You just rounding them up. Go ahead.
And all that he had, and they brought them into the valley of Achan.
Continue.
And verse 25, and Joshua said, Why hast thou troubled us? The Most High shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire.
So Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? It's just like, man, like, why you have to, because Joshua, the Most High is passing his word down through Joshua, like this is going to be the judgment. So, he might have had some kinship with the brother. He might have knew him personally. And it's like, this is showing how we're going to be an accomplice for righteousness or sin. So Joshua up there like, man, why have you troubled us? Like, man, why you going to do this? Like, you ever been in a position at your job and one of your coworkers or friend or somebody and you like, man, I can't do nothing for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, why you have to go and do this? Because I know it's about to happen.
Right.
Continue.
And all of Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones.
They burn who with fire? Read that again.
And Joshua said, Why hast thou troubled us? And the Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones.
Stone him with stones and what?
And burned them with fire.
So who is the them? His family, his possessions, the dog, the cat, the ticks on the dog. They did what? Burned them with fire.
Yep.
We don't want no remembrance of you. Oh, that's your donkey. Those are your sheep. Those are your goat. Those are your oxen. Get rid of them too. Purge them too. Continue.
After they have burned them with stones.
So we don't got stoned and bricked, and then we're gonna get burned too. Like that's deep. All this just to get sin from among us. So when you see somebody in the church cast away, that's to get sin out of the camp. Because it can become infectious. Because if the Most High allow it, they would have said, you know what, that last battle, Achan, he took 64 grand and some gold and a nice little garment. So the next one, I'm gonna do it, and this person do it. And next thing you know, it's sin all throughout the camp. Then next thing you know, we just like the heathens. So you got to root it out. So it's the same thing in the church. We don't stone you, but in a sense, you're going to be cast away. You know what? You need to take some time, go over here, get yourself together, you know, and thank the Most High for the grace of Christ YASHIYA. You know, okay, now you brought back into the fold, renewed, but ain't no coming back into the fold for Achan. This is where Christ's grace and mercy comes in, you know, throughout the gospel. Because, I mean, it probably wouldn't be that many of us in this room right now if we were still under this law.
Right.
Continue.
Verse 26, and they raised over him a great heap of stones until this day. So the Most High turned from his fierceness of his anger.
So the Most High turned now, the Most High like, okay, that's taken care of. Like, man, okay, I'm good now. You know, he turned his anger away from the people now, because guess what? You got rid of that sin. Continue.
Wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor until this day.
So until this day, that's the name of that valley. You know, and those stones are still heaped upon those bodies. This brother got his whole family killed. Say that again. This brother got his whole family killed. That's why it's important for the men of the Most High to be as righteous as possible. And the women who are the husband to those men is to support that man in righteousness, because his fall can cause your whole family to fall.
Right.
His sin, you know, they was probably rounding up some Achan people, like, oh, okay, what's going on? We finna get an award or something? Boop, rock upside the head.
Yeah, damn.
I just showed up. I didn't even know he had that.
Right.
That's where he got it from. I complimented him on the garment.
Mm-hmm.
And I got you taken out right along with him.
Man.
That's how serious the Most High is. Playing no games. You gotta be blameless and pure to dwell amongst the Most High and to make it into his kingdom. The title of the lesson, Accomplices, Idols in Our Tents. Now who knows, they could have known. You know, because if you come up with $64,000, the people closest to you gonna know some type of way.
Right.
They're gonna be like, man, you got the new J's on, you got the new Timbs on, you got a nice garment. You know, so they might have known. And they, like the first commentary said, they might have turned a blind eye to it because they benefited from it. And I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened. His sons and so on and so forth, because you know, Judah, you know, Jake, we can't keep no secret.
Right.
We'll keep the secret for like 5 minutes. Like, man, you done came up on something. Like, yeah, man, you know, I just been saving up, you know. And then next thing you know, we can't tell nobody. Like, that's what happened. You know, so I'm sure that's what happened. You know, we gotta tell somebody. I gotta tell somebody, you know what I'm saying? Even in carnality and doing dirt, you gotta tell somebody. So, you know, just shaping, that's how righteous the Most High expect us to be. Get your whole lineage wiped out because of foolishness and folly. Let's go with the next commentary.
Okay, the commentary reads, so that we are clear on the details, the silver was actually instructed to go into the treasury of the Most High. Not one soldier was to take a single piece for themselves on this particular victory.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a golden idol hidden with a Babylonian garment covering them. His whole family died because of the fact they were aware of the sin and said nothing. This is no different today. A person does evil and others either find a way of benefiting from it or they stay quiet out of the fear of alliance.
So that's what the first commentary mentioned also about how things overtaken our neighborhoods. And it says, a person does evil and others either find a way of benefiting from it or they remain quiet out of fear or either out of allegiance. We see that in our neighborhoods. Dope dealers take over. Here it is, Miss Jones, been living on the block since the 60s. She was there when it was a beautiful neighborhood, but now Miss Jones got bars on her doors. The dope dealers are taking over. She's scared to walk to her own car. She's scared to take her garbage out. She's in fear. But then you have the people who are in allegiance with the dope dealers. You know, okay, I work every day. He's a dope dealer, but you know what? I'm cool with him. They don't break in my house while I'm at work, so on and so forth. You know what? He actually look out for me. And now and then I need $40. You know, Robert Earl, the dope man, he lent it to me, and I get back to him. You know, so they're in an allegiance. Think about the movie New Jack City. What was Nino Brown doing? Giving out turkeys. Biggest dope dealer in the city, selling dope openly on the street where there's lines of people lined up for dope. But guess what? A gift destroyeth the heart. You know, in the movie, he's giving out turkeys. People lined up, he done overtook their complex. And he's giving out turkeys. And people, they love him for that. You see a lot of people do that. So that's how people are. They'll turn a blind eye because, well, I'm benefiting from it, you know. You know what? It could be March, the month of March, and Thanksgiving months away with our people, and it'll be like, you know what? These drug dealers get, but I ain't gonna say nothing because when Thanksgiving time come, we know he gonna take care of us because I already know I don't gotta buy a turkey because he gonna hook us up.
And got mashed potatoes with that thing.
Yeah. So all I gotta do is buy the sides.
Yeah.
That's what goes on. Continue. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 24. So these are some of the examples that we can relate to, that we see are commonplace in our society, that we see whether it's in movies, but the movies are a reflection of reality. So New Jack City is right outside these doors.
Right.
That don't matter whether you're in Detroit, Cleveland, Mississippi, Atlanta, or California. New Jack City is outside our doors, and it's a Nino Brown, you know, and you're gonna either have people in allegiance with them or you're gonna have people that's in fear.
Right.
So sometimes that fear leads to allegiance. So going to Proverbs 29:24.
Okay, this is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 24. Whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and betrayeth it not, and bewrareth it not.
Beware, which means reveal unintentionally. So it said, whoso is partner with a thief hateth his own soul. So that's what the subject matter is, an accomplice.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's robbing a bank, what do they normally need? A getaway driver, right?
Uh-huh.
That's an accomplice, right?
Mm-hmm.
They not robbing a bus on the bank. Well, nowadays, I mean, somebody robbed a bank not too long ago and they just walked off. They walked right across the field. But that's an accomplice. You didn't go in there and hold the place up and say, everybody get on the ground and shoot the gun, but you're an accomplice because your task was what? To drive. To get them there and to get them home. So you're an accomplice. So guess what? You go down as a bank robber as well. So you're a felon also. They get our people with this all the time. Riding around it, you know how your parents always told you don't jump in cars with people, yada, yada, yada. Got hundreds of thousands of our people and our brothers in jails because they took that car ride. And somebody in there had a gun, had some other intentions, and they became an accomplice. So I always say, to follow the Most High takes obedience and discipline. Your parents tell you, don't do this, don't do that. So you have to be obedient to them. And then when your friends come around and say, hey man, just ride with us, do this, that, and the third. Right. Now it takes discipline for you to say, nah, I'm good. Because those two go hand in hand. Your parents told you you have to be obedient to your parents, and then it takes discipline to I dealt with that a lot coming up. You know, it's like my parents, You know, my mom was in church. My dad, he wasn't, but my dad, he was pretty moral. He was pretty much like, "Now you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that." So it was no going around them.
Right.
It was no, it was just, and that just stayed with me. It was just like, my friends was like, "Let's do this, do that." I would always be that voice of reason. Like, "Nah, we're not gonna do that." Like, "Nah," we was mischievous, but I was like, "Nah, we're not doing that." As soon as we moved away from those friends, they went to a whole nother level. Not just, they went to a whole nother level. That voice of reason wasn't there no more. They became career criminals. They became murderers. I know that for a fact. I just know. I know that. So, but that discipline and that fear from my parents and me, my mom being God-fearing, it just was always like, well, I know if I disobey her, I'm cutting my days short. So I'll just roll with it. So let's go to the next commentary.
The commentary reads, "If you join yourself with sinners, you hate yourself. You will also be judged for those allegiances. You got to excuse my Shaw, Mississippi. In sin and rebellion. Even if you hear the evil plans and you don't correct it, you are still in support of the wicked deed because you didn't make an attempt to stop it in some way.
So you will be also judged for those allegiances in sin and rebellion." So if you see that's what we just read with Joshua and his sons and his family. They were in allegiance with their father. Okay, man, he gonna break us off something. So guess what? What was the judgment? Stoned and burned, and heaps of rocks, mounds of rocks heaped upon them. So that was their judgment. So that's telling you that right there. You will also be judged for those allegiances in sin. And so that's why we got to be careful in this walk, not to just turn a blind eye to our brothers or sisters' sin. That's something we got to keep in mind. Let's go to Psalms 50 and 16. Psalms 50 and 16.
Bring it there, say Achan. Okay, this is Psalms 50 and 16, and we're reading through 23. Psalms 50 and 16 reads, "But unto the wicked the Most High saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in your mouth?" Verse 17, "Seeing thou hatest instruction, and cast my words behind thee."
Hate instruction and cast his words behind them. So they disregard the Most High's ways and laws and statutes. Go ahead.
Verse 18, "When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers."
So you became an accomplice with the thief. Says, "Then thou consentest with him." So you saw a thief, going into a situation, and then you might not have initially started out with them, but then it was like, well, he's getting something like, "Hey, I see you doing this, give me something." Instead of reproving them or taking action, you become an accomplice. Go ahead.
Verse 19, "Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit." Verse 20, "Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son."
So we do this to our own brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
Verse 21, "These things hast thou done, I keep silence. Though thou doubtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thy eyes."
So this is the Most High saying, "These things hast thou done, and I kept silence." So it was like the Most High kept quiet to the point where you thought he didn't see it or you wouldn't get reproved. But he sees all. Keep saying that he sees all. So just because there's no immediate judgment for our actions, we think like, oh, okay, you know, this might, and we'll convince ourselves, we're like, you know what, this is really not that bad, because if it was, something would happen to me, or the Most High would have stopped me from doing it, or something would have happened to stop me from doing it. We'll convince ourselves of that. That's Satan, that's the flesh.
Yep.
That's Satan convincing us that we're slick. That's Satan making us think like, oh, okay, you know, nothing's gonna happen because look at you, you're alive and well, you know, and you got away with it. So you got away with it to the point that you think the Most High don't even see it. That's what he's saying right here. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as that. So he's saying, you think I'm you. You think I think the way you think. You think I see the way that you see. You think I can't see all because you can't see all. So he's saying, you putting me down on a level that you're on. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Verse 23. Whoso offereth praises glorify me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of the Most High.
So those who give a rightful presentation to the Most High, those he will show salvation. We know that, you know, understand? Say, whoso offers praise glorifieth me. You know, that's being pure, humble, and righteous. Let's go to the next commentary.
The commentary reads, righteous deeds will receive a righteous reward. A lot of us are still like children looking for our next rush. We hate the instruction of the Most High, yet claim we are keeping his laws to those who can see our everyday goings. The truth will not be hid in judgment.
The truth will not be hid in judgment. Just like the scripture says, Matthew 12, you know, every idle word or thought is on record. So the truth will not be hid in judgment. In judgment, all is going to be revealed. Right. And you'll be before the Most High, being judged, can't speak in shame. Can't say nothing. You know, scriptures tell you that you can't say nothing. He's walking, you're being walked back through your entire life. Right. You're being shown all the times that the Most High had mercy on you. Right. You're being shown all the times that he kept you from being destroyed. You're being shown all the times that, you know, the spirits was about to overtake you and the angel interceded. You're being shown all of that. Right. When you could have misstepped in traffic and been taken out, and then you just sat there like, oh man, you know, but when that get played back, you'll see it was a demon pushing you into traffic, trying to destroy you, because the enemy come to steal, kill, and destroy. And then here it is, because of the Most High grace and mercy, an angel interceded and caused your brother next to you to say, hey man, hold on, don't walk in traffic. Now you're looking at that like, oh, good looking out. The whole time, the angel tapped his brother on the shoulder to stop. All of that to be played back. Nothing to be hid. You'll see how gracious and mercy, and you'll feel foolish for not devoting your entire life to the Most High.
Like that brother who passed away, what was his name? Azariah. He said he couldn't say a word.
Couldn't say a word. That was a testimony to the church at that time. That was like, what, a year ago, right? Yeah. That was a year ago around this time. May the Most High bless that brother, because I know for a fact that when he came back with that testimony, that was a warning sign to the church. That was to say, get your house in order. Yep. Khan? I think that hit everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That hit everybody. Yeah, he knew. See, that consciousness was there. That consciousness was there. He said, he was saying to himself, because he said he couldn't say a word. So he said to himself, like, the angels was talking, it's like, he don't have enough works. He don't have enough works. He can't make it. So, and this brother got works in the church. He got works in the church. And they over there like, you know, and what probably seemed like an eternity to him, when the testimony was given back to a brother, it was just like, you know, it was just him going in and out of not just consciousness, but he was dying on the operating table. But in that spiritual realm, it was a whole nother, they was contemplating, you know, hey, is this brother going to the bosom of Abraham, or is he going to Hades? So thank the Most High for his grace and mercy. He let him come back into this realm and pass that testimony on. And man, that was something. That's a lot to contemplate. I mean, most people don't get that opportunity. You've heard people say they died before and they seen the light, this and that, but they don't come back with a testimony like, look, this is what happened. What is it, second address? He was like, second address is real. Second address 7, I believe. Is it 7? He's like, second address. You've never heard nobody come back and say that. People might come back, yeah, I seen the light and this and that, but you ain't never heard nobody say second address 7 is real. That's deep, you know. So thank the Most High for his grace and mercy.
That's right.
Let's continue. Where we at? We going to Ecclesiastes. Is that the one? Ecclesiastes 5 and 6. Yeah, we got to be thankful, and these things happen for our benefit. Happen for us to get our house in order and get our self in order, so we can be blameless and spotless. We're going to Ecclesiastes 5 and 6.
Wait, there's Achan. Okay, this is Ecclesiastes 5 and 6. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should the Most High be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thy hands?
So suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin. So that's going, speaking again of Matthew 12 and 36 and 37 of every idle word on record. Continue.
Verse 7, for in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou the Most High.
For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities. But above that, you need to fear the Most High. Always keep that in mind. Fearing the Most High. That should be a continual thought. Like, am I pleasing the Most High? So, you know, in a sense, don't let your tongue get you in trouble. Let's go to the next commentary.
The commentary reads, the angels are recording every wicked act that we commit, and there will be no hiding of evil like our people thought they could do in their tents. We must clean up our acts now and have a sense of responsibility for each other. So
have a sense of responsibility for each other. So in a sense, we have to righteously matron one another. You know, that's just the reality of it. We have to help each other manage each other's righteousness. Now, ultimately, you're responsible for your own walk and your own soul salvation. But, you know, we have to bear one another's burdens, and we have to be a matron to one another. If you see your brother or sister going off, you got to talk to them. And it's easy to talk to them when you have that personable relationship with them. Because now I know how to address you. I know when to come at you. I know when to, you know. So if you just, you know, and you can do that when you have a personable relationship with somebody in this walk. So, you know, that doesn't mean just walk around and look for people to do fault and be like, now you go to a brother or sister that you didn't even talk to, be like, yeah, I noticed you. I know that, you know, that's not how you operate. You got to operate with wisdom. So we are supposed to be righteous matrons for one another. But at the same time, you know how Israel are, we'll use people as a crutch. It's like, that's just what it is. We'll drive something in the ground and make that person be more responsible for your actions than yourself. You know, and I think that just comes from the curses that we under, when it's sometimes you just have to gird yourself up and get yourself together. But we'll put that burden on somebody else, like, tell me how to fix me.
right.
When you know the sin you dwelling in or issues you dealing with, better than I do.
Right.
So just be real with yourself, you know, and consecrate yourself and purge yourself and say, okay, this is what I need to do.
Right.
But instead of us doing that, what we'll say is, it's on you to fix me.
Right.
You're not telling me what I want to hear. You're not guiding me. You're not, you know what? You're not even reproving me the way that I want you to reprove me.
Right.
It's like only Israel, we the only ones, we want to get reprimanded the way we want to get reprimanded.
Right.
So we do this crime or the sin, and then it's like, hold up. Yeah, I was wrong. I did this and that. But don't talk to me like that. Don't reprimand me. You know, you can't handle me like that. Well, hey, if you would have never did the sin, I wouldn't have to reprove you in this way. You don't get to do the sin and then decide how to be reprimanded.
Right.
Whether it goes from one of your brothers or sisters or one of the elders or one of the officers or so on and so forth. But that's Israel. That's our mindset. We're the only ones who feel like we get to decide how you're going to reprimand us.
Speak to me smooth.
Yeah, we want to be told smooth things. Yeah, I did it, but you know, and you know, that's just, I don't know, it's just something that we seem to do. Where we at? Let's go to the commentary. Which one we just left off? Yeah, let's go to the next commentary.
The commentary reads, we just read the commentary.
Okay, yeah, about righteously. Yeah, so we do have to righteously matron one another, you know, so bear one another's burdens. And that's the thing, Babylon has taught us, like, they have actually taught us that that's corny. Like, you know, like but that comes with love. If we actually love one another, we can interact with one another on a whole nother level. And as Israel, we really learning how to love. You know, we really learning how to just love. I said that at one of the feast days before, how a brother was telling me that he loved me. And I was like, you know, and like I said, Babylon has taught us that that's corny. So I'm like, man, okay. And then I thought about it like, you know what, man, I love you too.
Right.
And like, what's wrong with that? I remember I brought one of my family members one time, and he came to me, he's like, I'm not used to all this hugging and love and this and that. And that's how we are in Babylon. We raised like that. It's like, man, bro, you know, you done hugged me 3 times, you know. But that's how Babylon has shaped us. Because my cousin, he was going to the GOCC in Atlanta. You know, I had him going there, and then he came here to Chicago to visit once. And he was like, man, y'all, okay, so that's not just Atlanta. Like, almost all the brothers in here done hugged me. Like, I ain't used to that. Like, I gotta get used to that, man. But that's how we are. You know, that's how Babylon has shaped us, that to think that that's corny. When I actually do love you. There's nothing wrong with saying that and showing that and being that and living that. So we got to get out of that mindset. But let's continue.
Okay, we're going to 2 Peter 2:9-16.
Everybody there say calm.
Okay, this is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. The Most High knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation.
The Most High knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations. So the Most High will head you. You know, what's the Lord's prayer? Lead us not into temptation. You know, continue.
And to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government. Presumptuous are they. Self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities.
Continue.
Verse 11. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusation against them before the Most High.
So the angels who speak on our actions, or let's say report, the angels that report on us on a daily basis, they don't bring forth railings or blasphemous or slanderous accusations. They very careful about how we're the Most High's portion. So that's saying that they're very cautious about how they go about reporting on us to the Most High. So they're not making stuff up. They're cautious about that, because of who we are. It's like one of the elders was giving an example one time, and it was like, okay, if he was like, hey, where's Isaiah? Like, man, I gotta tell him I lost him. Like, I don't know where, you know what I'm saying? So, they're accountable for us. And the things that we do, they're very cautious about how they report on us, because obviously it has to be accurate, and they're held with the responsibility of, in some sense managing us, but we operate, if we operate outside of righteousness, that that puts them in a situation like, man, I gotta go up here and report again. After he repented, now I gotta go back up here and report to the Most High that he reneged on it. So that puts them in a situation. Let's continue.
Verse 12. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Verse 13. And shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings, while they feast with you.
Mm-hmm. So they chopping it up with you, with deceiving you. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Verse 14, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls.
So those are people that are wayward, and guess who they infecting? That's who they taking down. Others that are unstable, others that are not rooted. Continue.
In heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Verse 15, which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. Verse 16, but was rebuked for his iniquity, the dumb ass speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the prophet.
So the dumb donkey speaking with man's voice. So if you read Numbers 22, how many people familiar with that story of Balaam? If you read Numbers 22, this is what this is referring to. Balaam being rebuked for his iniquity, and the donkey that was speaking, that he was riding on, speaking with a voice. In that situation when it's saying mad, because if you read the story, Balaam was riding on a donkey, and Balaam was, because of his iniquity, is about to be destroyed. And he was riding on the donkey. This is in Numbers 22. And he was riding on the donkey, and the donkey seen an angel in the way about to slaughter Balaam. So the donkey, went to the side. The angel came to the side. He went to this side. But the whole time, donkeys are very stubborn. Mm-hmm. So Balaam is whooping this donkey like, man, what are you doing? So it got to the point where the donkey just lied down. He just laid down because, in a sense, the culmination of it, the donkey was trying to keep Balaam from being slaughtered, and he was in fear of the angel that was in front of him. But Balaam didn't see this. So it got to the point where the donkey was like, why have you struck me 3 times? The donkey is talking.
Right.
So Balaam is so mad and so incensed that he doesn't even realize that the donkey is speaking. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't even realize that that's the madness that's going on with him. That's how infuriated he is. He don't even realize he's having a conversation with the donkey. The Most High has opened the donkey mouth up. The donkey, which is the most, sometimes they say dumb or stubborn animal. And here it is, he's arguing with it. Imagine that. if you come home and your dog or cat done tore the house up and you so angry, you so infuriated, why did you tear up my shoes? The puppy, he chewed up my shoes, and you striking them and whipping them. And then the dog just say, hey, I'm a puppy, you know, why you, and guess what? You'll go back arguing. Just think of that. Because you won't even realize, because that's how we talk to our pets, like they're people. What are you doing tearing all this up and you don't went in the garbage? So if the cat or dog actually said, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, you will respond, because that's how infuriated we are, and that's how mad, as far as madness taking over us at the time. Not just madness and anger, but maybe a little insanity in there. That's what the madness is speaking of. It's not speaking of just anger. It just means, I went insane for a second. Now you will find yourself in the kitchen or in the room arguing with the dog and not realizing this animal is talking to me. That's what was going on right here. So the donkey ended up telling him, like, you struck me 3 times. Why have you done so? And he's like, because you're being stubborn. You're not going in the way of the path I'm getting you to go. And the donkey ended up saying, have you not known me? So basically he had the donkey all his years. And the donkey said, have you not known me all these years? When have I ever done this to you? Say, well, you never done this, you know? So basically the donkey is saying, you know me. And if I'm doing this, I'm doing it for a reason. So the Most High gave Balaam the spiritual eyes to see the angel that was in the path awaiting to slay him. And he's like, whoa, wow, I was about to be destroyed. This animal, this dumb donkey, stubborn, got more sense than I got, because it was trying to keep me from being slain. So that's what it's speaking of right there. And it's speaking of forbade the madness of the prophet. The dumb donkey speaking with man's voice. Donkey speaking with a man's voice, and he didn't even realize it, and he's finding himself bickering and going back and forth with it. That's the madness that comes upon Israel at times when you wallowing in your iniquity and you not obeying the Most High. You become mad, insane, when you out of the Holy Spirit. Let's get the next commentary.
And the commentary reads, the one thing that seems to be common thread is the murmuring against those who the Most High set up to help direct our people away from sin. Too often people tend to sit back and murmur, despising the government that has been set in place because it is contrary to the sin they hope to continue in the dark. They are only able also to deceive those whose souls are still unstable. Is the church leadership a form of government?
So they are only able to deceive those whose souls are still unstable or not rooted. You know, they're going to get those wayward people. So wicked people will be unrighteous and therefore need a righteous law. Lawless people need law. The Most High is a God of decency and order, and with law comes order. So it's asking, is the church leadership a form of government? Just like our government. There's a law, the law brings order in the government and society. The government is established to bring forth what? Law and order. Because if other than that, we'll be pillaging and robbing and killing each other beyond measures to the point where you can't have anything. So government, an established government brings forth law and order. Let's get some more understanding on that. Let's go to 1 Timothy 5:17. So the Most High has a government set up in the church as well. So remember the question, is the church leadership a form of government? 1 Timothy 5:17.
Okay, this is 1 Timothy 5 and verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor.
So you should give your elders double honor. The elders that's over us, the anointed righteous teachers we have over us, we give them double honor. Continue.
Especially they who labor in the word and doctrine.
Especially they who, come on. Just this lesson alone, you know, it's all the lessons that's the elders send down, or just all the understanding that we get. Right. All of the average person in here been in this truth less than 5 years. Mm-hmm. Just think where you were 5 years ago, opposed to now. Just think where you were 2 years ago as opposed to now. I've been in this 3 years, and I think about where I was 3 years compared to now, and it's like, that wasn't just all me, that was all through the anointed teachings of our elders.
Right.
And they deserve double honor for that. You know, so you could sit back and be like, yeah, I did that. Well, you know, you a student, you needed to be taught again because you came fresh out of Babylon.
Right.
Just 3 years ago, you know what I'm saying, you was probably celebrating Halloween and eating all type of forbidden foods and so on and so forth. So, you know, those anointing teachings came from these elders. So therefore, that's one reason you give them double honor. Continue.
This is verse 18. For the scripture saith, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 19. Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses.
So going back up when it says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. Anybody who knows what that means?
Don't take away,
Yeah, I know I was gonna see if somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, go ahead.
yeah, that's what I looked at.
I know.
Yeah, but Paul mentions it too in Corinthians as far as you take away the wages of man, the wages.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, whoever, you know, if the ox is treading, you know, you provide him his reward, which is food. You give him his work.
Yeah. He's putting in work. So every now and then the ox may turn and want to eat some grass, but if you got a muzzle, he out there working hard and laboring and can't even get some grass. You know, I remember one time I was riding a horse and it was like the horses want to stop every now and then and eat from the trees or the leaves. And the guy was like, don't let them stop. If they stop, kick them. Don't let them stop and eat. I'm like, man, he carrying us. Like, you know, he can get a little leaf every now and then. So, but yeah, a great answer. But, you know, that actually happened. And he was like, every time he stopped or you go through a creek and the horse want to lean down and drink some, he was like, kick him. Don't let him stop. Don't let him drink. I'm like, man, he obviously thirsty. So I'm kicking the horse and he's like, kick him harder. I'm like, man, so now I'm boom, boom. But that's what don't muzzle the ox mean. Like, you know, hey, I feel like the horse was worthy of a drink or to eat off a tree, you know, or whatever it is, you know. So that's what that means. So the water. Continue.
Verse 19. Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses. Verse 20. Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear.
So rebuke before all. That's a righteous government. That's going back to Joshua 7:25, which we read before. What did we read? That the Most High commanded Joshua bring them all before Israel, all the possessions that they took, so everybody can see this is a righteous judgment. This is why your people has fallen. This is a family over here that lost some loved ones, so this is going to be the judgment. So it was brought before all to see. So that's a righteous judgment. So that goes back to 7:25.
Right.
Let's go to the next commentary.
And the commentary reads, elders really are in seats of rulership, although you will find a good elder ultimately still serves the people righteously. We sometimes must rebuke sin before all, which for the most part also is contrary to those in sin. This causes many who are in sin to have problems with the rulership, often saying things like, I don't follow man to manipulate the ignorant. Here is more proof that elders were part of the spiritual rulership of our people.
So it says, we sometimes must rebuke sin before all, which for the most part also is contrary to those in sin. So obviously the people that's sinning don't want you to rebuke them in front of everybody.
Right.
You know, that's just how sinners are. So then it said, this causes many who are in sin to have problems with the rulership, often saying things like, I don't follow man to manipulate the ignorant. We hear that all the time. We hear that all the time in this walk. I don't follow man, you know. You got these people who refuse to be in a camp or church because that's following man. But they'll listen to certain videos to get edification, then go and teach for themselves and try to heap souls for themselves, but you don't follow man, but you're trying to get people to follow you.
Right.
That's our people. So let's go to First Ezra 9:1.
We could dare say, come.
So this said, here is more proof that elders were part of the spiritual rulership of our people. We're going to go to First Ezra 9:1. So the elders on earth, the elders make up a portion of the governing body of the Most High on earth. Our elders, they make up a portion of the governing body of who? The Most High.
That's right.
Here on earth. So that's another reason we give them double honor.
Okay, this is First Ezra 9:1. Then Ezra, rising from the court of the temple, went to the chamber of Jonathan, the son of Elisib, and remained there and did eat no meat nor drink water.
So, go ahead.
Mourning for the great iniquities of the multitude.
So he was, here Ezra is not taking no drink nor meat. He's mourning for the great iniquities of the multitude. So Ezra in this situation is afflicting himself on behalf of our people. He's afflicting himself on behalf of our people. He's fasting. He's doing some type of fast. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And there were proclamations in all Jewry in Jerusalem to all them that were of the captivity, that they should be gathered together at Jerusalem. Verse 4. And that whosoever met not there within 2 or 3 days, according as the elders that bear rule appointed, their cattle should be seized to the use of the temple. And he himself cast out from them that were of the captivity.
So the elders made a declaration that whomever among the people don't meet within 2 or 3 days, that their cattle should be seized to use of the temple, and himself cast out from them. So your cattle was your possession. That was your possessions, and it provided provisions and provided your income, so on and so forth. So that was precious. Continue.
Verse 5. And in 3 days were all they of the tribe of Judah and Benjamin gathered together at Jerusalem, the 20th day of the 9th month.
20th day of the 9th month. And I think this may have something to do with trumpets also. I believe so. But let's continue. Let's get Hebrews 13 and 16 to also show a righteous government established.
Okay, we're going to Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verse 16 through 18. When we dare say, Khan. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16. But to do good and to communicate, forget not. For with such sacrifices, the Most High is well pleased.
So in this instance, we want to, just think of our elders that are among us, that brought this through the Spirit of the Most High, this awakening to us, and that we rely on for their anointed teachings. Continue.
Verse 17. Obey them that have rule over you, and submit yourself, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief. For that is unprofitable for you.
So grieving the elders is unprofitable for us. Mm-hmm. If they're dealing with grief all the time, right, how will they deal with us? Because they're being bored down with grief. So as the governing body or shepherds of the Most High flock, the elders themselves, they're going to have to give an account of how they lead us, how us being their flock, how they handle us.
Right. It'll
be a judgment for that. So that's why you want righteous, anointed elders. That's why I always wonder why you got these lone wolf Israelites out here and just, to themselves, like, I don't follow any church. It's like, well, where's your understanding coming from? Now, I can see if you're alone in your city or state because of the you might not be in the municipality you in or whatever may not be no churches, and some places are hours away from each other. So that's why we real fortunate to be able to gather, in somewhere like Chicago here, because you got people that's in North, South Dakota, Wyoming, and no other body in the truth is in your vicinity. So that's different, but then you got people that just, don't want to follow any anointed teachers. And nowadays with the internet, it simplifies it a bit because you can just turn on your computer and follow as if you're there on Shabbat. So continue.
This is verse 18. Pray for us, for we trust we have good conscience in all things, willing to live honestly.
So yeah, in the above scripture it also says, pray for the elders. But in the above scripture it says, a grieving elder doesn't benefit you any. And as Israel, we will grieve you.
Yep.
We'll grieve you. We'll put unnecessary burdens on you. It's like I was saying earlier, instead of us girding ourselves up, we'll rather pass everything to the bishops, elders, or deacons. And that's Israel. We will grieve the mess out of somebody instead of taking ownership of our own issues. Because the deacon or the elder or the bishop, they're dealing with a multitude of people. So at some point, you need to take responsibility for yourself. At some point, it should be like, okay, I should be able to answer some of my own questions. I should be able to purge and fast and put myself in a spiritual position where I can matron myself, along with maybe one of my brothers and sisters' assistants. But you don't want to overly grieve your elders. You don't want to overly grieve your leadership, because that's no benefit to you. And not only that, you're hindering them from helping the body flourish. But Israel will do that. You'll see certain sisters or certain brothers, and it'll be like they always got issues. There's always something going on with them. There's always they unstable. It's water. We'll see that. So it's not to say you shouldn't bring anything to them, but at some point you have to gird yourself up, because the bishops, elders, and deacons are dealing with a multitude of people. Just imagine if we all took our issues to them. I can only imagine the elders' phones, and let alone the deacon. Their phone probably never stopped ringing. So that's a lot of grief. But they're going to be accountable for how they lead the flock. So that's why it's good that they focus on being as righteous and leading that flock as possible. And the above comment mentioned that grief doesn't benefit them any. And they don't need that added distraction of grief. Let's continue to what were you on the next commentary?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the commentary reads, helping to sober up our people from a life of sin is a hard job, and we need the support of all. If you are in union with someone who is doing evil, you add to the problem of elders being grieved.
What I just said.
A grieved elder is a bad thing, because we need our leadership to be focused so that we can receive the best care possible with the church matters.
That speaks for itself. Let's get Deuteronomy 13:6.
Will you dare say, Achan? Deuteronomy 13:6. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or thy wife, or thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thy own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers.
That's the same thing what Achan did earlier. He had a golden idol with a garment over it, secretly. And this right here just named son, mother, daughter, so his family. Go ahead.
Verse 7, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth.
Continue.
Verse 8, Thou shalt not consent unto them, nor hearken unto them. Neither shall thy eye pity them. Neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal them.
Continue.
Verse 9, but thou shalt surely kill them. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people.
Read that again.
But thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people.
So no matter how close someone is to you, you don't hide their sin. Matter of fact, you should be the first one to lay hands on them, as the scriptures say.
Right.
Because they disclosed it to you first. Then you get to cast the first stone, then everybody else join in.
Right.
That's what happened in Achan's situation. What it said, they gathered them all together in front of Israel, and they all cast stones at them.
Right.
So you don't hide nobody's sin, no matter how close you are. And actually, you should be the first one to reprove them. And then if it comes to a situation where it goes further than that. Now, if it comes to a situation where it goes further than that, it says you cast the first stone and then everybody else after that. That's what it says, right? Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death. So I get to lay hands on you first if you're not repentant, and afterwards the hand of all people. That's how serious this is. Once again, we just reverberating again how serious the Most High is about being pure and not having sin or idols or iniquity in the camp. Continue.
And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Most High thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
Continue.
And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this among you.
So do you think that's what happened when what happened to Achan and his family with them getting stoned and burned? You think that didn't send a message throughout the community? You think that didn't send a message throughout the nation? I guarantee they got right. Let's go to the next commentary.
And the commentary reads, so accountability is a serious thing with the Most High. If you witness evil, you are just as guilty if you don't come forth. Also, you can't really love a person if you see them struggling in sin and you don't address it. You know where they are going and what they will suffer if they don't repent, yet you say nothing, whether you realize it or not. If they are in rebellion, they are serving another God, and you are witnessing it. There are demons all around us who we serve when we are in sin. Open your spiritual eyes.
So in a nutshell, don't be silent and watch your brothers and sisters head to hell. Like I said, we have to righteously matron one another. So don't sit in silence. You know, we here to help each other in this walk. You know, we might limp sometime, and it's gonna be ebbs and flows, it's gonna be ups and downs, but you know, don't sit back and just watch them wallow in their sin and know that they're headed for a path of death, and you just be an accomplice, a silent accomplice at that. So let's keep that in mind. So in a nutshell, that's what it's saying. Don't watch your brother and sister head to hell. You know, reprove them with love, interject yourself with love, you know. Because that's what you want someone to do for you, or that's what you should want someone to do for you. One second.
Commentary reads, if I love myself, I will refuse sin. And if I love my neighbor, I will also demand of them the same. Most people don't understand real love. Real love may require you to be honest as a witness, regardless of whether your friend will stand with you. Question is, if they don't, then what was your friendship really built on?
Yeah, what was your friendship really built on? Go ahead.
Time to grow of age before this age passes away, brothers and sisters. The kingdom is closer than we think. Shalom.
The kingdom closer than we think. Shabbat shalom. So may the Most High add a blessing to the readers and the hearers and the doers of His word. So with that being said, we got any questions or comments? Brother Tyler.
I got one quick question. Shalom. What color is that? What color is that? Shalom. Green. Green.
Shalom.
Shalom. I just got one quick question pertaining to the aspect of like when you're looking out for people, because I know like a few months back, actually last year, it was this sister who I was talking to about the truth and giving her, you know what I'm saying, things pertaining to the Most High. And I remember when I seen her this year, you know what I'm saying, I was talking to her as well, you know what I'm saying, giving her insight, but I know that like she was refuting like dealing with the world again and dealing with that aspect. So like I remember one time I confronted her, I talked to her, I asked her like, you know what I'm saying, are you still about this, or are you still, you know what I'm saying? And she said she lost all faith, and she just said she was, you know what I'm saying, she don't know. So I just said, all right, well, I'll try to catch up, but now it's like to the point to where it's like, she don't even really care. It don't mean to like still try to keep trying to like, you know what I'm saying? Because it just feel like it's an open space, so I feel like, man, I should probably confront her one more time. You know what I'm saying, because it just feel like I should. But I don't know if that's just constantly just going back and then it's just like nothing, or do I like, keep trying to just, you know what I'm saying, I don't know, put it down, I guess.
Are they part of the church or what?
No, they're not.
So
It's just
somebody-
people. It's just a person at my school, but it's still like the same aspect. Like I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, it's still so much, you know.
Let's go to Titus 3:10. So you say, so in a nutshell, what was it again? You're trying to bring the truth to her?
Yeah, it's gone. But it's like, I'm just kind of confused because it's like she knows of it or she's about it, I guess. But it's like she refutes like to the worldly aspect.
She's still into the world?
Yeah. So it's like, but it's like, it's just how the way she. I don't know how to really explain it because it's the way that she does, or how the way she operates with it. It's like she want to be better, but she kind of confused to an aspect. You know what I'm saying? But I be trying to talk to her sometimes, but like she just totally just, you know what I'm saying, just.
Yeah, I mean, and that's you've done your job right there. It's not your job to introduce them to the truth and then hold their hand all the way through to, you know, as far as you can take them, because that might just be what the Most High have you to do. You know, you plant the seed, you know, and He'll get the increase. Somebody else might come along, but you did your duty. You see what I'm saying? Now, if she's just rejecting it, you know, you can't do nothing about that. A lot of times being in this truth, we think because we have this truth, everybody should see it the way we see it. Everybody should, why don't they get it? You know, why don't they just, you know, I'll tell the brothers all the time, you can back people into a corner with scriptures all day. And they'll be like, if we hit them with this, we got them. And I tell them, they could always just say, oh, okay, and go about their business. But you know, we want that because it's so strong and impressioned upon us to bring forth the truth. We feel like if I say this, or if I would have just said this, or while I came with this line, I would have had them. It's not necessarily so. You understand? So let's go to Titus 3:10.
Okay, this is Titus chapter 3, verse 10. A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject.
So, you know, she might not be just flat out rejecting the Most High, rejecting the truth, but you know, you gotta, in a sense, you know, let's just let the seed be planted and take a step back, and then you just continue being the light, because she's probably watching how you operate more than anything, more than she's listening to you. So that's why you have to be a light. So it's not so much as how much you can bring her and hit her over the head with. It's about you being a light, because that's what they're gonna look at. Are you a hearer and not a doer? That's what they're paying attention to. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, Tyler, he bringing this to me all the time, but then I see him over here doing this, and you just negated everything that you tried to introduce to her. You know, and that's a lesson that we all have to take, and we just have to operate with wisdom. The more we operate in wisdom in the Holy Spirit, it'll give us that keenness and awareness of what to do, how to go about it. But you know, you done your job. Don't feel like you have to, because that can be wearing on a person as well. Like, I can't even say how you doing to this brother or sister, because they finna hit me with, I mean, they in the world. So think about it. You know, a lot of us, we didn't want to hear righteousness. Like, you know, to them, you're a Bible thumper. So, you know, just operate with wisdom and just give it time. And then most of the time you'll see, if you're not approaching her as much, she might come around and be like, hey, what happened? I ain't been getting my word from you. I ain't been getting that, you know. Now that's showing, okay, you know, so just be patient. I mean, that kind of sum it up for you, or make sense, or what?
Yeah, I get that aspect of it, but I don't know, it's just something about it. It's something different about it.
It's something different about what, her?
Yeah, it's just something like, I don't know how to explain it. Cause like I know that aspect of it, because you know, it's a lot of people I know I dealt with. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, I know you about that, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? I pray the most I be with you, but I don't know. It's just something just there. It's just like a void that I haven't seen yet or something.
Well, yeah, just pray fast, ask the Most High for revelation of how you should go about it. That's the best advice I could give you. You know, have that conversation with the Most High, ask him how you're supposed to handle that situation, and he'll reveal it to you.
Yeah, I was gonna go to Matthew 7.
Matthew 7.
Yeah. Matthew 7 and 6. It says, Matthew 7 and 6 reads, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you."
Yeah, she'll turn on you. That's why I said, don't be, you know, just be patient, you know, and let the Most High, you know, speak to you and ask you how to go about it. Sister Jada.
Kayak.
Who? Kaya. Salakia.
It's for fog kayak. No, my brother here named me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to comment on brother. What's his Hebrew name?
Tawab.
Tuwab. I have a lot of young cousins, like in your age group, like a lot of teenagers, boys and girls. And what I've done with them is just have like, what? Excuse me. What I've done in the past with them is, so they would talk more, especially my, the girl cousins, just have a little, like, get together, like with your family, or if you're already friends with one of the girl, a circle of friends, just invite them into the conversation. If you already, if they already like believe like you do, or already kind of, I don't know the full situation, or you can invite me, because I'm willing to talk to them too, because I like teenagers. Like, I have a lot of experience.
And you know, I'm sure we're gonna be having workshops on things like that, how to address friends, family, associates. We've went over techniques before of how to do that. So, yeah, we'll be keeping that in mind. You know, definitely. Those are all We all can use some tools to try to, get people into this walk, into this truth, and let them and nurture them in a way where they won't be ones that bring sin into the camp. Remember, that's what the lesson is about.
Right.
So all of that is leads up to them getting in the body, and then once they're in the body, we keep the body and the nation as blameless as possible. Anybody else? We got a officer right there.
Yeah, just one more on that particular situation, that 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 13 through 15. And it says, "But ye, brethren, be not weary in well-doing." Verse 14, and it says, "And if any man obey not our word by this epistle, note that man, and have no company with him, that he may be ashamed. Yet count him not as an enemy, but admonish him as a brother." So, in all those, just like you were saying, or just like Officer YASHIYA was saying, you plant that seed. You be the light, you may have to show that light, just like how anything grows.
Mm-hmm.
You be that light to that individual. Once you plant that seed, if you be that light can eventually, hopefully, grow that seed in them. But you gotta give them time to let that seed grow. So, like the officer was saying, there may be time that you may have to just move away from that individual, not call them an enemy, but just move away from them. And then after a while, they see your works, and then they'll end up coming back to you. So you still treat them, just as an individual, not as an enemy, but you still have a relationship with them. But then now, because you don't want to become weary and well-doing after so many times you're talking to this sister, and then you get caught up emotionally in it to where that individual now is wearing on you how you should operate. So once you plant that seed, our positions here is men and young men as followers and servants of Christ is to plant the seed. Now how that seed germinates and grows, that's up to the individual. But we're here to be servants. And servants, all they do is serve. They serve the meal. They don't feed them. They don't put the spoon or fork or plate. They give the plate, which is a word, but they don't force them to eat it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you do is you just give them what is presented from the word, and that's it. Then you allow them to take portion in that meal if they want it. So
that's very key. That's a very great precept the officer brung out, because you can become weary. You'll get in your own time and be, like I said, wondering, man, if I would have said this, or next time I see her or him, I'm gonna say this, and now you're losing sleep and thought process and everything over it. And not only that, you're making them weary. So, but it says, count him not as an enemy, which, you don't have to count that person as an enemy, because they didn't say, I hate the Most High, and, damning Israelites and all this and that. So, but you admonish him as a brother or a sister, and then, man, the brother said it, and the precept spoke it well. Anyone else?
I just want to.
Dr. Zakwa.
I just want to talk about how you said, the guys that sit outside that's accomplished to whatever crime that their buddies are doing on the inside or whatever, and how this world has glorified the transporter, the movie. Yeah. And that's basically what he was, the biggest accomplice to help them get away with whatever crime they did, and you sitting there rooting for him to get away. Right. So it's amazing how they plant those little seeds, and you I know I like the movie. You get to they make sure the guy's a pretty cool guy, and he got a nice car, and you rooting for him to get these burglars away. And they do that with a lot of movies, like the movie Dexter. This dude was a mass murderer, and you rooting for him to get away, not get caught. And that goes to how you put your spirit and your heart in something, you know, and before you know it, you rooting for mass murderers, killers.
That's very, man, that's very key, man, because Satan is very cunning. And I haven't really seen the Transporters movies or none, but I know enough to know that that's what he was doing. So that's very key, and that's how Babylon will get your subconscious, where you rooting for the bad guy, and then now that's in your psyche. So that's very key. Anyone else? All right, with that we'll say Shabbat Shalom. Okay, peace and blessings.
Really breaks my heart. Cause we've been lied to, misled for years. Calling out to the most high on this trail of tears.